truly intimidating speaking to this crowd. At the coffee break, I noticed how young everyone is. I am not. Up until last week, I thought the Jersey Shore was just a geographic term. A lot of you are intellectuals, and I am not. I was asked to go on a dean's sabbatical in my third year of university, and so I ended up going into construction. And so it is intimidating speaking to you, but at the same time, I'm secured in what I'm speaking about is something that obviously I'm passionate about. And I told this to my chiropractor yesterday, Kira Gerber, and I said, I'm terrified about this speech tomorrow. And she said, don't be terrified. It's God's work. It's all right. And what you're doing is what you're passionate about, and everything will be all right. Don't worry. And then she snapped my neck, and so I'm not to worry. But it is challenging in that Habitat for Humanity isn't a new idea. It's an innovative one, and it's one that will change the world if we latch onto it. And we can rid the world of poverty housing if we latch onto that idea and build with families and do it in such a wonderful and dignified way. How many of you watched the show Extreme Home Makeover? All right, stop watching that show. The Maury Povich I'm Not Your Daddy dance show is a whole lot better than Extreme Home Makeover. I've got a huge issue with that show. And a few months ago, I had the privilege of meeting Ty Hetherington, the host of that show, and I told him I didn't like it. And I said the reason I don't like it is because I think it eliminates all dignity for the families that they are making a case for support for. Those families need Extreme Home Makeover. They need Habitat for Humanity. They're going through difficult circumstances medically or with poverty. And what they do, though, is they send them away to Florida while they build this 6,000 square foot palatial mansion that they can't afford to operate. And then when they come back, there's that teary Tammy Faye Baker moment as mascara is running down the faces of that individual receiving the home. But as that mascara is running down the face of that individual, I think what's missing is dignity. And when we serve the poor, when we try to eliminate poverty housing, when we try to eliminate poverty in general from the face of the earth, we need to do it in a partnership way, in a sustainable way, in a way that provides and affords dignity to those that we are serving. And what Habitat for Humanity does is not, when we partner with a family, they're not crying out, I need help. They're simply saying, will you build with me? And that's my call to you today, to say, yes, I'll build with you. In 2005, I had the privilege of going down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and working on the 200,000th Habitat for Humanity home. It was the home where the 1 millionth and the 1 millionth and first homeowner would move into their new house. It was an incredible experience. And for those of you who know me, you know that I'm an incredibly competitive individual. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm in a competition. If I'm walking behind you on Yonge Street, I'm going to try to pass you because we're in a race, you just don't know it. And I was in a race on the Wednesday of that build. It was a 5-day build. We started on the Monday, and on a Saturday, Kofi and his wife, Tracy, moved into their new home. And I was in a race to put up vinyl siding on the right side of the home. My competition was the back side, the front side, and the left side of the house. And I started working away, and every once in a while, I would go around the house, and I would find out where my competition lay. And I noticed that at the front of the house, there was a couple who was putting up the vinyl siding. And I was struck that the guy was doing nothing, but the girl doing everything. Normally, guys try to show off on a Habitat for Humanity build site. They don't know what they're doing, but they always try to impress and say, hey, little lady, there's a 2x4, and they're pointing to like a window or something. But they do their best to impress. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing anything. He didn't pick up a hammer all day. And so in the afternoon, we had a break. By the way, I won the competition. In the afternoon, we had a break, and I asked Jeannie, who I hadn't met before, I said, what gives with Buddy here? Why is it that he's not doing anything? She was up on the scaffolding. She was the one using the chop saw. She was the one leveling the vinyl siding. She was hammering in every single nail into the front of that monumental home. And she turned to me, and she was wearing sunglasses, and she said, don't you know, I'm blind. I don't have any vision. He is my eyes for the day. He is telling me where to hammer that nail in. He's telling me where to cut. People are normally scared of using a chop saw. She was doing it blind. And she was standing up on the scaffolding, and she did that, and she did that on her own. And what I loved about that was, we've got an issue around affordable housing, and we've got a solution, I believe, but we also have wonderful inspiration in folks like Jeannie, our volunteers who work so hard. And they work alongside the family, Kofi and Tracy. And what I love about the model is that the fact is that when Kofi and Tracy are building with us, they are incredible examples of courage. It's in their courage that they have triumphantly overcome the disintegrating emotion of self-pity. And they have done it on their own. And we can all rally around at the end when we stand around a doorstep and we can present the keys to that family. I'm going to leave you with one thought. President Carter, our greatest volunteer, has regularly said that the two evils in the world that he wants to combat the most is, first, the fundamentalism of any kind, and the second, the growing divide between the rich and the poor. And on that second front, over the past 10 years, that divide has grown dramatically in the United States and in Canada. But here's some hope for you. It's actually shrunk worldwide. It was 10 years ago, the average salary was about 135 times that of, in the wealthy country, that of a person in a poor country. And it shrunk down to 45 times. It's an obscene statistic, though, that we are making 45 times more than the average person in a developing country. But at the same time, there's a wonderful trend there. And so my call to action to you is to jump on to something sustainable. Don't create a new nonprofit. There is an ocean of nonprofits out there. There's an ocean of good missions and good work and charities out there. Don't jump onto that wave. You'll just be a ripple. Instead, create your own. Move away from the shore. Use all the talents and enthusiasm and inspiration that you have here today. Move away from the shore, and as Sir Francis Drake wrote poetically, it's only when we move away from the lights of the shore that we can see the stars.